Lesson 35, Part 1 is about exponents. Go ahead and get the title into your notes and push play when you're ready to begin. So some of you may have seen these before and know what they are, and some of you may not have seen these before and just thought, oh, what a cute little number there is there. But exponents are about repeated multiplication, where multiplication we've been working on is a repeat of addition, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, 5 times. Exponents are a repeat of multiplication. So before we get into that, I'll go ahead and give you some vocabulary words. You're going to want to write this stuff into your notes right here. Don't write this into your notes. Not that. But you will copy this into your notes, as well as the word base. The base is the big number. That's the number that's going to repeat. And then the second word, make it all small, exponent. And the exponent is the little baby number. And that's the number that tells you how many times the base will repeat. So what this would be is 3 to the 5th power is how you would say this. 3 to the 5th power. The power is how many steps of multiplication are going to be done. So what you would do is you would, and this I call Mrs. Sanchez's super stubborn step, that you should do this every time, because a common mistake is people look at this and go, oh, it must be 15, and it's not 15. It's far from being 15. It's a much larger number than that. So exponents grow very rapidly. You'll hear people say things go in exponential form. That means that they're growing very rapidly. So you'll see how quickly this becomes a large number. What this means, and here's my super stubborn step, it means that it's 3 times itself a total of 5 times. So it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And that doesn't look like that would be so big, but watch what happens as we multiply it. So once, my super stubborn step is write it out that many times. Write it out. Don't try and think in your brain what it should be. Write it. That's my stubborn step. And then you can multiply the pieces. Little bites, right? Little waffle bites. We don't shove the whole waffle in our mouth. So little bites at a time. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 3, 9. And then just bring this 3 down. Then do the next little bite. 9 times 9, 81. And 81 times 3 is 243. Look how quickly this little bitty number and this little bitty number turned into a very large number. So 3 to the 5th power is 243, a very large number. All right, so what I want you to do is copy this into your notes. Exponents are repeated multiplication. And then what I want you also to copy into your notes before we do one is this. Do Mrs. Sanchez's super stubborn step. Put that in your notes, because I want that in your notes for every time you take a test. So do Mrs. Sanchez's super stubborn step. And on your homework today and on your classwork today, I want to see that step, so that we are not making the common mistake of just multiplying the numbers together, because 4 to the 3rd power is not 12. And so many times people look at that because 4 and 3 in our brains makes us think 12. It's not 12. So the super stubborn step would look like this. 4 times 4 times 4. So you're doing this we do with me. So you've copied this down and this down as well. Because 4 to the 3rd power means 4 times himself 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times. 4 times himself 3 times. Once you have written out the super stubborn step, then all you have left is to multiply those numbers together. 4 times 4 is 16. And 16 times 4 is, that's 24. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So 4 to the 3rd power is 64. That's nowhere near 12, is it? 4 to the 3rd power equals 64. Okay, so as long as you do Mrs. Sanchez's super stubborn step, that's a pretty easy concept. So I'm going to go straight to a you do before I go into the next part. So let's see if you could do this. Just make sure you do Mrs. Sanchez's super stubborn step. You do this. Go ahead and tell me what 2 to the 5th power is, but make sure you do the stubborn step. Push play when you think you've got it. Okay, so you have an answer down, and I know you must have done the super stubborn step. This means 2 times itself 5 total times. So a stubborn step would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 times itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Once you've done that, then you just go ahead and do your multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, and then times 2 there. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. So 2 to the 5th power is 32. Hopefully that's what you got. So something else you might see, this is back to another we do, because this is the same concept, just a little bit switched around a little bit. Something else you might see is 4 to the x. That sounds like a rap song or something. 4 to the x to the y to whatever. 4 to the x. When you see, and we'll get into variables soon, but when you see letters as in place of where numbers should be, it just means that it's a mysterious number. We don't know what the number is yet. So, but we're going to find out. It's a mystery. So this just means 4 to some power we're not sure of. And then you might see 64 with a base of 4. If you see this 4 to the x, you're probably in the assignment that we're working on, you're probably going to see 4 to the x equals 64. And what they're going to be asking you, same thing this one's asking you, 64 with a base of 4, what is the exponent? So these are the same type of question. You might see it this way, or you might see it this way. I think in your homework it's this way. So what we're asking is that if you have a base of 4, how many times would you multiply it by itself in order to reach 64? Over here it's the same thing. If you have a base of 4, how many times would you multiply it by itself to get 64? So hopefully you have this all copied down by now and you're ready to do this as a we do into your notes. All right, so what I would start off by doing is I'd start 4 times 4. And I would put like a note to myself, that's once, that's twice. And 4 times 4 is 16. So I put 16 under that. Well, 16 is not 64, so I need to keep going. So I would do times 4 again, and I'd put a note to myself, that's 3 times now. So I make that look like a 3, 3. Wow, that's terrible. Let me try that again. 3. So that's 3 times so far. So let's see if 16 times 4 is 64. So I'm going to do 16 times 4, that's 24. 4 times 1 is 4, 5, 6. There it is. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. So it took me 1, 2, 3 4s to multiply together in order to reach 64. That's what this is asking us. How many 4s do I need to multiply together? This is how many of them in order to reach 64. Well, when I planned it out, 1, 2, 3 times would give me 64. So x then for this exponent is going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. So you would say it's 4 to the 3rd is going to equal 64. And that's exactly what this one is saying too, is if they ask it in this way, again, these are the same thing. If your base is 4, how many times are you going to multiply it together in order to get to 64? So I'd say 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. It took me 1, 2, 3 times to get there, so it would be to the 3rd power. That's what those types of questions are asking you. It's like the reverse. Okay, so now let's try that as a you do, and you might get stuck, and that's okay, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. And I worded it both ways because I'm not sure if you'll see it on a test this way or this way. I might throw it at you both ways. And then like as we get into the end of the year, those final exams and stuff that come up, I'm not sure how those are going to come at you, looking this way or this way. So I'd rather you had it both ways in your notes. Again, this is asking the exact same thing that this is asking. 2 times itself, how many times, is going to equal 32. And this one's saying 32 with a base of 2, how many times will I multiply 2 by itself in order to get to 32? So they're asking the same thing. So go ahead and push pause and try and find an answer, and then push play either when you get to the point you're stuck or you have an answer. Okay, let's see how you did. So I'm going to start just with 2 times 2, and I'm going to make a note to myself, that's once and that's twice. And I know that 2 times 2 is 4, and obviously 4 isn't 32, so I'm going to go times 2 again. This is my third set of 2. 4 times 2 is 8. I wanted to keep that black. Let me change that to black. Okay, and 8's not 32 yet. So I'll go times 2 again. That's my fourth time with a 2. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. And 8 times 2 is 16. Not yet 32. So I'm going again. Just go at it again. Here's 5th time I'm doing it. And 16 times 2 is 32. Ding, 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 ding. I have a winner. Oh. So it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in order to get to 32. So my answer then, I would just answer 2 to the 5th equals 32. And this answer would suffice for this too. It would be fine for this too, because it's telling you, oh, with a base of 2, 2 times itself 5 times will give you 32. So this question is exactly the same as that question. This is how you solve it. You just go until you hit it, and then you write the answer like that. Hopefully that makes sense to you and you're ready for your closure questions. That's all that I'm throwing at you today. And then in part 2, we'll start looking at how do we apply this? When do you use this sort of thing? So today is just the concept of handling the exponents. So if you feel like you get it, go get the closure questions to show me you get it. If you're still a little confused, you can try rewinding it and listening to the explanations again. And if you feel like you still need extra explanation, you can check with somebody on your team or with me.